Most people are obsessed with making their wrists bigger, but almost nobody understands the truth about how wrists actually work. The bones that make up your wrist joint, the area where you wear a watch, are not going to grow after puberty. That's not opinion, that's anatomy. The wrist itself doesn't contain muscle tissue that you can train for size. It's primarily bone, ligaments, and tendons. So if you've been doing endless wrist circles or hoping your wrist bones magically get thicker, that's not going to happen. But here's where everything changes. Even though the wrist joint itself can't grow, the muscles that sit just above it absolutely can. And those muscles respond extremely well to the right kind of training. This is the secret most people miss. Wrist size is mostly an illusion created by forearm development. When the muscles above the wrist get thicker and denser, your wrists instantly look bigger and stronger, even though the bones never changed. This matters more than you think. You could have solid biceps and triceps, but if your wrists are thin, your arms will still look weaker than they actually are. Small wrists break the visual flow of the arm, but when you build thick forearms right above the wrist, it creates contrast. That contrast makes your entire arm look more powerful. Now here's the good news. Forearm muscles recover incredibly fast compared to larger muscle groups. That's why elite arm wrestlers like Devin Larratt don't wait several days before training them again. He trains his forearms every single day, sometimes even multiple times a day. The key is that he doesn't push every set to failure. He trains smart, not reckless. So the real question becomes, what muscles actually matter if you want thicker looking wrists, and how do you train them properly? Researchers have tried to answer this by using EMG electrodes to measure muscle activation in the forearms during different exercises. When athletes were tested, standard wrist curls did activate the wrist flexors, but those muscles don't contribute much to thickness near the wrist joint itself. That's why so many people do wrist curls for years and see almost no visual change. Things got interesting when scientists tested pronation-based movements. These are movements where you rotate your forearm like turning a doorknob or pouring water from a bottle. In these tests, the pronator teres muscle reached around 73% of its maximum activation. That data came from research published in the International Journal of Sports Physical Therapy. The pronator teres sits on the inner side of your forearm, just below the elbow, and it plays a massive role in forearm thickness and width. Devin Larratt calls this muscle his best weapon, because in arm wrestling, pronation strength is everything. If you can rotate and control your opponent's hand, you dominate the match. And here's the problem, almost nobody trains this muscle directly. So after digging through the research and studying what actually works in the real world, 3 exercises stand out. These aren't generic movements you see in every gym. Some come from elite arm wrestlers, some from rock climbers, and one comes straight from old-school bodybuilding. And all of them are backed by science. The first exercise comes from rock climbers. Rock climbers are known for having some of the most insane form development on the planet. A study examining climbers measured muscle activation during different grip styles. During crimp grips, the intense fingertip positions used on tiny holds, the flexor digitorum profundus reached nearly 97% of reference voluntary contraction. That's an extremely high level of activation. The flexor digitorum profundus is a deep forearm muscle that controls your fingertips. Whenever you grip a barbell, hang from a pull-up bar, or even hold a steering wheel, this muscle does a huge amount of work. When it grows, it adds thickness throughout the entire forearm, especially near the wrist. That's why climbers' forearms look so dense and full. They spend hours hanging under tension. You can replicate this effect with crimp grip dead hangs. Instead of wrapping your whole hand around a pull-up bar, you grip it with your fingertips. Your fingers bend at the first knuckle, creating the crimp position. Your thumb can wrap around for support or stay alongside your fingers. Hang with your arms straight and avoid pulling up. Keep your shoulders slightly depressed so they don't collapse upward. Because this grip places serious stress on your fingers and tendons, you need to start light. Use assistance if needed, such as a resistance band or keeping one foot on the ground. The goal here is time under tension, not ego. Start with 10 to 20 second holds for 3 to 4 sets, resting about 3 minutes between sets. Only increase difficulty once you can hold for over 30 seconds without finger discomfort. If you feel sharp pain, stop immediately. The second exercise comes from old-school bodybuilders. Golden era lifters didn't have EMG machines or research papers. What they had was decades of trial and error. One exercise they swore by has almost disappeared from modern gyms behind the back finger curls. At first glance it looks strange. You hold a barbell behind your body with your arms hanging down. Most people assume it's pointless. but the mechanics are completely different from standard wrist curls. Because the bar is behind your body, gravity forces it to roll into your fingertips on every rep. Before your wrists can even curl, your fingers must pull the bar back into your palms. That finger-first movement is what recruits the deep forearm muscles responsible for thickness near the wrist. To do it, start light, just the bar. Hold it behind your back with palms facing backward. Let the bar roll into your fingertips, then curl your fingers first, followed by wrist flexion. Pause at the top, squeeze, and slowly lower back down. Do 3 sets of 12 to 15 controlled reps, resting 60 to 90 seconds. If the bar slips, the weight is too heavy. The third and most important exercise targets the pronator teres. This muscle adds width and density to the upper forearm, creating a taper that makes the wrist look smaller by comparison. That visual effect is what makes arms look strong rather than skinny. To train it, sit on a bench with your forearm resting on your thigh. Hold a light dumbbell vertically with your palm facing up. Keep your wrist neutral. Slowly rotate your forearm until your palm faces down. Pause, then rotate back up under control. Do 3 sets of 15 to 20 reps per arm with light weight. This muscle is built for endurance, not heavy loading. You can train all 3 exercises in one session 2 to 3 times per week. Advanced lifters can go higher if recovery is good. Don't train to failure. Aim for a strong pump and clean technique. If you stay consistent, within 8 to 12 weeks your forearms will look thicker, denser, and your wrists will appear dramatically stronger, even though the bones never changed. That's how you actually fix skinny wrists.